Oh, oh my word. Bean. Bean died, so that we may live. Hi! I am partially Liv. I have come back from Magfest to be here with you all tonight for this session of Drums of the Empire D&D with my homies here. I am Slappy Meats. I am... Ugh, these meats are barely keeping themselves together after the adventures I had this past week. But I exist nonetheless, and I am also Sildav, the Dhampir rogue. Truly, the life of the party. I'm also joined by Lola Man.
Hello, everyone. It's Lolo. I'm here. I'm queer. I'm the fungus in your ear. I am one who leans the druid cleric diplomat on a
Oh.
mission to get this party started.
Oh god, yeah, we're right on the cusp of a party of another kind as well. We have with us Selnica.
Hello, I play Felemy, and the half-elf paladin who's been going through some stuff, and that's a hard time sharing about it because she may have gone mute from the grief. But the war goes on, and the fight must go on.
Which incidentally would be a pretty brilliant move if you caught some con crud and you just had to not talk for a while.
Oh, not talking is hard lately.
It's also just a difficult swerve. Speaking of difficult swerves, we have Moonlight Kitsune.
Greetings all. I play Yozora, Team Warlock, Scholar, and generally the stick in the mud.
and one of the most puppy-brained kitties we've ever met, our precious Banya boy, Banya Bee.
And I am forever your Tabaxi Ranger, Wither, who is thinking a little chaotically at the moment once we get through all of our fun times with strategy.
At the moment, he says.
I mean, that's accurate. That doesn't tell how long a moment lasts.
Any given.
Fair enough.
Bringing all this together. All of us, like a family. We have our wonderful, beneficent, generous, definitely sweet, handsome, good-smelling DM who would do nothing but kindness to this party, assuredly. Ironmog.
Hail, travelers. Welcome back once more. So we're still here in Bonnick 2. We spent a little bit of time last session doing some planning, setting up some defenses, basically giving out instructions to the troops and the military contractors that we have managed to scrounge up, bring together, and begin some plans for the eventual fight that is to come. Between the fight to come and where we are now, there's but one rest remaining, a morning to finish up defenses, and then it will be all too late. The battle will begin. The enemy will be met. With the plans in place now, everything seems to be coming together fairly smoothly. There's been a fairly rudimentary, simple battle plan thrown together. Pawnee seems to support it, thinks it sounds like a good idea. Some barricades and other wooden structures are being made with the timber and the supplies you're going to be getting from Yakutin. Additionally, you'll be getting some further supplies from the village of Tumak, which is going to put a little bit more of a hearty feel to your troops, set them up a little bit more for, well, to weather the storm, I suppose, that is yet coming. We, however, still have a few things, of course, that we must go over. Wither, I think, still has to make a final decision on what it is he wants these dwarves to look into as far as making, off of a request put in so long ago to tinker around and mess with stuff and check out these crystals and this energy source and all that they had found in the mines in the way between realms oh so long ago.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the party, of course, is free to do as they wish. Seek out supplies, rest, fun, shenanigans, whatever they aim to do.
One
Evening
thing
is coming on, the shadows are stretching long.
I do have to ask: are the shops still open?
You can still get supplies, of course. Anything you're looking for, just let me know. I'll let you know if it's available or not.
All right, because for the coming battle, one thing I kind of wanted was a war horn.
Yeah, just like a horn or something for you to be able to blow and,
Yeah, kind of
rally
as
the troops.
yeah,
etc.
kind of as a signal since well, Bellamy's kind of
A
mute
nice
right
big
now,
drum.
so
Mhm,
no shouting, charge, or anything.
Maybe
Absolutely.
honk out a little careless whisper.
I mean, Felamy does have proficiency in the horn as an instrument, so she probably
Okay.
could.
All right. Good meeting, everyone. Grab a snack, grab a fap. What are you gonna do?
You wish.
So, the different delegates and officials are still here. If anybody has any specific questions that they want to present to anyone, if there's anything they want to specifically bring up or discuss, that is still on the table.
Bonnie.
I forgot to shave.
She will help Furu move the blackboard they've been using back away against the wall, turn it around so it's not just on display, before looking back and nodding at one who leans. Yes, of course. How may I help you?
This one wonders. It might be a, what would you call it? Long shot. But any word from our newest allies in the north?
She shakes her head, but only slightly. We have received word from them after sending word their way, but it is unfortunately not promising. They have said that they will send a dispatch. Units will be on the way, but it would be impossible for them to get here anywhere near close to time. If anything, they may act as scouts, doing simple reconnaissance throughout the area and keeping an eye on things while we plan a second move if things go wrongly.
It is better than nothing.
I agree. I have given them early word that should we prove successful and push these soldiers back to the keep, I want them to join us at the keep so that when we move in, we can take it and we'll have a little bit of extra resources for such an endeavor.
The help would definitely be welcome.
All the more reason to do this right.
Pawnee simply nods her agreement with that sentiment.
How go the fortification of our outpost?
Gale will be the one who stands up at that point and looks towards you all, addressing the room in general, but answering you. As for our settlement, it does proceed ahead of schedule, thankfully. But it is nowhere near close yet to the stronghold we want it to one day be. Though we do believe that it would be easy enough to make use of it should the need arise. as a point of defense to keep a claim upon this world. We've been very lucky. The Celestial Dwarves have been aiding us in not so much building, but growing the infrastructure and the defenses. We have repaired fully the area that we came through. The gate, the door, is open and is protected. So if worst comes to worst, we can retreat through it.
Very good.
We have also had some success in establishing some barracks so that we may begin housing troops as well as training them. We have also begun work on some warehouses to begin storing goods for our eventual trade agreements when we begin to fill those, and when we start moving goods to and from. Furthermore, we have it doesn't have an official name yet, but I suppose a command post of sorts, near the ruins you all discovered. We've gone ahead and we've sealed up the entrance that was simply wide open, and have begun reinforcing the area, turning it into our central command area. The ruins, however, we are looking to see if we can find someone back at home who could come out and take a look for us proper. See if they can investigate and search the ruins and learn what they can learn.
This one hopes that this is not held back too long by the bureaucratic nature of the city.
As do I. Truth be told, I think the bureaucracy, the red tape, has been artificially thickened against us to see that we have results before they fully commit. I think someone may have bitten off more than they could chew and are now having second thoughts.
They weren't prepared for us to be effective as we have been.
I don't believe so. I also don't think that they expected this world to be as it is. It sounds almost as if it were a bad thing. It is, of course, just simply the natural state of this world. But it is a bit more militaristic and well defended than we might have wanted or hoped for.
Yes, of course. Leave it to the bureaucrats to demand results and then bulk when they get them.
I do, in fact, believe that's close to exactly what has gone on. I think they expected, or at least wanted, a quick, easy, early win, and have been met with adversity on all sides.
Understatement there.
The simple fact is, and she looks around the room at this point, taking in everyone, like meeting everyone's gaze for just a moment. I do believe that what we are seeing is a bit of the results of this world being beyond the veil when it was closed at the end of the Second Age. None of us could have ever anticipated or even predicted the state of any world outside the veil. Not, that is, that any of us knew there were going to be worlds outside the veil. If anything, I believe most of us would have expected everything to be cloaked in shadow by this point. But there seem to be pockets, dazzling bright light amongst swirling mist.
To the Shadow's credit, it's not for lack of trying. This is something we're going to have to face.
You are quite correct. But we are lucky, at least in one regard. They didn't expect us either.
And the progress we have made has been on an excellent pace.
I would say so. It absolutely has been leaps and bounds beyond what we had initially expected. You have brought in a I suppose, what would have otherwise been a completely antagonistic group. These conservators in the north, they have been brought into the fold successfully, when beforehand they might have actually been proven to be a bit of a fly in the ointment, an annoyance that would have had to be dealt with.
This one must admit that it was originally worried that its skill in localized politics would be lacking when confronting such a large scale. It is glad that progress has been made.
Rest assured, if you if there are any difficulties in your negotiations, it is almost that you are too effective.
Gale smiles at that, and even nods a bit at Dove. Further, the, I suppose, walkabout that went amongst the villages of the area proved quite fruitful. Cestia and Zelena managed to bring in several allies, several who were eager and interested in joining, and your recent escapades have only helped to further solidify that. Other groups have heard that you have been out and about to aid certain places, and they look forward to seeing more of that aid come their way, should we be able to provide. Of course, they also know that us being able to provide that aid is entirely dependent upon our success or failure tomorrow. They are ready, willing, and, if not able, eager, at least, to support us. And beyond even that, the further borders. Master Quick Prophet, as I've heard, has had enormous success dealing with the coin lords. It seems that being able to sling gold as easily as some might sling arrows is quite an appreciated skill amongst the coin lords. We firmly have a leg in the door, not just a foot, where it comes to Begreus. And then, of course, further south and further west, Athos has had some success in reaching out to the Corsairs, and has, in fact, as far as I am understanding, been invited to a big, wonderful birthday bash that the de facto Admiralty is throwing for their leadership. We hope to use that as a diplomatic gesture of goodwill and camaraderie.
We're out here getting blown in the woods, and he's living it up at some soiree.
It is a good
Lucky
idea.
bitch.
Celebratory events are known to facilitate relations.
And he is one of the diplomats. We're the front line.
Ugh,
I do expect that, yes, the free-flowing alcohol may also lead to free-flowing acts of friendliness and negotiation.
well, damn. I feel underutilized.
Feel not that way at all. After all, it has been the work that you all have done. You have opened up an entire other nation on this world. The Arachni in Akina
Ah,
have opened their discussions, their borders, and their homes, and have invited more of our envoys to have meaningful talks about a lasting relationship and of possibly becoming official allies, not simply in spirit, but in word and on paper.
This is good. Our brief encounter with them was indeed fruitful. This, I believe the credit must be given to Dove.
She
Oh.
will look over at Dove and give him an incline of the head and a polite smile.
why, thank you. Sometimes it's simply a matter of Well, I suppose as Mech would put it. Speaking
Well,
the
this one.
language.
Indeed, well, this one has some expertise in establishing relations. People with a more commercial inclination appear to respond better to Dove
Hmm.
and his tactics.
You just have to know what screws to turn. Speaking of, have we heard
Yes.
anything back from, or anything further from the rat folk?
That one has unfortunately escaped us. Quite literally. The one that you returned with disappeared and has not been heard from nor seen since.
Ah, yes.
We have, with the Arachni's aid, sent some envoys to open up negotiations officially with the rat folk. We hope that provides some positive movement forward, hopefully fruitful. But we have not heard anything yet. Though, what we have gleaned is some intelligence, which we've also gotten about Monogra, some of the other countries bordering the free territories, some of the other groups, such as the lizard folk.
Speaking of, Owl, didn't we...
Yes,
I may have been a little distracted at the moment, but did we get anything in writing from that one? The lizard folk.
I did take notes upon what was revealed by this individual, but he has not written anything himself.
Right.
We have encountered and had a conversation with one of the lizard folk species. As far as this one understands, their temperament is not to be relied upon when
Hmm.
it comes to establishing relations. However, they are, as they say, itching for a fight, which might be able to be used in our advantage.
I think so. And they, perhaps in so many words, suggested that as long as we don't fuck with them, they won't do us.
Gale nods a little bit about that. Pawnee, scratching her chin for a moment, looks up. One who leads. Do you believe that the lizard folk could be weaponized in some way? Guided or directed towards a target we wouldn't mind softening up?
If they are made aware of a potential battle in close proximity, it is more than likely that they will join it. Not taking a side, but slaughtering everything in sight. This might be able to be used.
Indeed. That's the kind of directed chaos that could prove to be useful in the right situation. I should keep that in mind. Thank you.
Yozora will pipe up. I will note, from what I could observe, from what I overheard, I don't think they'd be willing to leave their borders. They seem to be very territorial, for the most part. So if we wanted to weaponize them, we'd have to get whoever we want them to have an exchange with. Very close, if not in their actual territory.
Yes. Bring the fight to them. Serve them the dinner, as it were.
Pawnee nods at that, stapling her fingers as she pauses to think. Gale, however, continues on. And also, again, thanks to all of you, we do have our friends and allies here amongst the Celestial Dwarves.
Indeed. They have been invaluable friends in helping to establish the outpost here.
Is there perhaps anything else that we should know or that should be discussed?
Zora frowns for just a moment before
Hmm.
nodding. Yes. Pulls out the map and gestures to where Finney is in the 5 miles they wanted. Because I don't think we talked about this.
Yeah.
There is an encampment of Fae here, led by a siren. We managed to negotiate them. Very pointedly looks at one who leans at that, staying out of this conflict. But in exchange, from 5 miles from about this point, in every direction, is to be their territory, and they don't want anybody walking in without permission. Otherwise, they'll be less shown the way out and more shown a
Coming up.
way off this plane of existence.
Now, these negotiations. Personally, I would be more than willing to renege at earliest convenience, but for now, it does keep them out of our hair. The citizens of Shinpo were slightly less than impressed, but fuck 'em, they're alive.
Gail nods for a moment, pulling her hat off of her head and running fingers through her hair before replacing it. Should it come to it, and when we need it, she looks towards Yozora. Would you be willing to be an official arm and envoy and a diplomat to discuss with these Fey folk some sort of further terms or a deal, perhaps?
Yuzura will purse their lips, like, I will, in full honesty, I would have to think about it. From what I know, these are, for my people, considered traitors. There is no
Of
love
course.
lost between the two, while I personally do not have anything against them, they still go against my people.
Of course. Take all the time you need to think about it. It would not be anytime soon. After all, we have had current, more pressing matters to consider.
And it is wise to consider the potential effects of proverbial bad blood.
You make a good point.
Yuzora just nods.
I don't know, I thought
If
it
you-
was kind of delicious, actually.
If you'd prefer, I can reach out to the Senate and the city proper and find an official envoy, if you would rather not have to worry about that, Yozora.
Yuzora's going to nod. Like I said, I need some time to think about it.
Of course.
And we have more pressing things to worry about.
One thing this one is wondering about, and that might be useful to be made aware of as soon as possible, is what other kind of point disruption the Empire has been relying on to sow chaos amongst the free territories. We have assisted in 2 different locations. However, there might be more issues at hand that might be pressing.
Speaking of, as I was saying that, I do want to be looking around the room and sort of just tasting the air for the flavor of the emotions that I might be looking for in maybe nervousness, anxiety, deceit, to see if there is in fact a mole among us as we bring this up.
Okay. You absolutely it's overwhelming, really, but there is, for sure, tension, anxiety, concern, and you do, in fact, taste some deceit in the air.
Where's it coming from?
It's
Trevor?
coming mostly from the direction of Pawnee.
Where are they? Okay. Above table, do you remember who brought up the possibility of a mole?
I don't immediately off the top of my head.
I do believe it was someone in the party who first suggested it.
Okay. Yeah, with how quickly the Empire responded to our activities in the north. Okay. I'm gonna keep my eye on her. I want to see where her body language might falter as we further discuss point disruptions and such things.
The full extent of the Empire's destabilization efforts might not be known for some time, but it does. And Gale turns and gives Pawnee a glance, who simply nods very subtly. We have, of course, considered the possibility that even the Crimson might have originally been a plant from the Empire to destabilize this area. One that perhaps got out of hand?
For those that claim this land to be ungovernable, it was they. The suggestion is that it was they who made it unstable in the first place.
It does seem that they may be trying to fulfill a prophecy of their own making. As if the destabilization and the inability to be governed was design rather than flaw.
They're trying to breed the Kwisatz Haderach.
Sorry, all I heard was breed. What?
That's later. That's later.
Mhm. Mhm.
For the moment, we do plan to use some of the soldiers and the resources to also secure supply lines from our settlement to Bannock 2. Just in the off chance the Empire has something else up their sleeve and might have circumvented our scouts.
What of the Crimson refugees?
Many
This
of
one-
them have been welcomed back at the settlement and have been put to work. There's a contingent of them that seem to be unwilling to once more take up arms, wishing simply to build, create, aid rather than harangue, destroy, or maim.
That is fair
Understandable. Have a
enough.
nice day.
That's fair enough. Given how it seems this world works, I cannot blame them.
It seems to have started with and stemmed from the two that you brought with you. They have been influential in encouraging others to lay down arms and instead simply offer what they might to help rebuild.
Yo, your snacks doing things.
Oh, such playful puppies. Well, Good. Good for them.
Though Master Tor may be in the minority when it comes to opposing the complete evacuation, he has supported it and given his blessing, seeing the wisdom in it, and so we have already begun to do so. Many of the villagers have already begun to move towards the settlement to find safe harbor and refuge. Others are remaining behind to finish up whatever last tasks, securing their homes and their businesses, before in the morning they too will be amongst the last of the party to leave and head for the settlement and the protection of its still growing walls.
Hopefully, the evacuation will prove to have not been needed, but better safe than sorry. We don't want them suffering.
Pawnee nods at that.
It's just a fun little sleepover. No big deal.
That's how we've tried to sell it to the children, at least. The young boy that you brought back with you as well from your initial meeting with the Crimson Bandits has been rather adamant about not wanting to retreat and evacuate, but instead wanting to be here to meet the Empire. Master Tor has assured us that despite his eagerness and bravado, he will not be left with amongst the village, but will instead be escorted to safety. Perhaps against his will, but it would be for the best.
Given how children can be, I propose we keep an eye out in case he manages to sneak around here during the battle. That's the last thing we need, is that type of distraction.
Felwyn nods at that.
Yes, we certainly don't need any more troublemakers than the Empire's already inserted into our business, and I will very carefully watch for a reaction to that sentence.
It is perhaps an opportunity, while the conflict is resolving, for the villagers of this place and others evacuated to familiarize themselves with the culture of the city and its many benefits.
Wise words you speak, of course, Master Leans. We will also have one remaining unit of soldiers here in the village to assist with those who will linger. For instance, Furu will linger within the village until official word of success or failure is known, as will Pani, Felgwyn, and Gethos. If worse comes to worse, they already have plans to evacuate and make it so that the village is ever a thorn in their side and that every inch is paid for in a dear cost. They will find a bitter pill to swallow when they get to Bonaktu, should they, in fact, get to Bonaktu.
Well, let us hope they don't, because all of these assets here being lost to us destructively is more or less the same deal the Empire made us.
I wholly agree, my friend. Felgwyn looks up and gives Dove a very somber nod. I hope that it is, in fact, not necessary, and simply preparing for the worst, while we all, of course, hope for the best.
It is worth it to stay vigilant. And certainly satisfying, even at great cost, to catch by surprise those who underestimate us. Question.
Yes?
Where is our other warrior, dancer, monk?
Aiding in the evacuation. She's already back at the settlement. She's been helping the villagers to get settled.
All right.
Furu and Lei were two of the individuals in town that most anyone knew immediately just by their face. It's comforting to have one or the other.
Oh, good.
I just had a thought. Anybody in the party want to get married to each other? It's +2 AC for a week.
Oh, yeah.
I look like an old man. I don't think anybody wants to marry me.
+2 AC, 7 days.
I don't know. Silver fox is a thing.
Pawnee finally will look around. If there's no other news or other matters to discuss, then please, take what little light remains. Enjoy your evening. We have things that we must be about, things that we must begin to work on, barricades that must be constructed. It is going to be a late night and an even earlier morning for all of us.
This one would consult with the few mushroom folk that have grown upon this world.
Has a traveler come through recently? A curious man with a very nice ass.
Looking for noodles.
They all exchange looks, very confused before shaking their heads collectively.
Gisora
Jazz hands.
pinches their brow. What Dove is meaning is that while we were out dealing with the issues that we ran into, we came across an old man and a donkey, pointedly just side-eyeing Dove on that one. And it's just like, he seemed to be in search of the best noodles around. I believe Dove pointed him towards here for the noodle store, the shop here. We have no idea where he ran off to after we met with him, but yes.
Gale again shakes her head, as does Felgwin. No, we have not seen any new travelers in the area. As for the mushroom folk, they are currently comfortably residing and remaining at the settlement, out of harm's way. Yuzora, lie detected.
Okay, make sure tuned out just for a moment there.
Yeah, sorry,
Distracted on my
say
end.
again?
Yeah, so I detected a lie on the mushroom folk being at the settlement, like the one we're building.
Mm-hmm.
Yozora's going to try and subtly get one who leans his attention, and just make a quick chop note motion of to say, no, something's wrong here, lie.
I'm gonna give Yozora a nod and slightly raise my hand, kind of below my waist, like draw his attention, like, this is okay, this is normal.
Who was speaking? Who?
That was
Yeah,
Gale.
that was
the lie
Gale.
was detected from.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's who I missed. I thought it was Pawnee, but yeah. Still just a subtle, like, no spell casting or anything like that, but just a detect. Because the whole party knows about the lie detection things. Like, there's a lie here.
Above the table, didn't we have a sign agreed on?
Yeah, something subtle. I think it might have just been touching the ear. I don't quite remember what it was.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. So sorry. Basically, it's like Yozora's going to reach up and scritch at their ear. It's like just randomly. It's like, hey, here it is. I'm detecting a lie.
It's okay.
Sorry about that. I did forget about that signal.
Understood.
And the last time we had a lie was with the negotiations, so which had to be called out immediately.
Understood.
Hmm.
It is perhaps for the best.
I'm sure
You
you'll.
detected another lie.
Oh, it's like a blink. Yozora's like, okay.
I'm sure your progeny is invaluable wherever they are utilized.
Also, Via has left her shop available to you. She is not currently here, as she has evacuated already. But she wanted you all to know that if there are goods or supplies that you can make use of in her shop, you may help yourself to them, even if you do not pay for them. They are available.
Unacceptable. Goods would be paid for at the current exchange rate.
Felgwin smiles at that and gives you just a nod.
Yes, of course they will. Lie detected.
That one didn't even need a detector.
Yozora's starting to get a headache from all the lies. Like, ah.
Wither just kind of gives a little smirk, if anything.
Is there anything else anyone wishes to discuss?
I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Because
Take your time.
there's something we have, there's information we have deeply in our pocket, and I would love to try to fish for whatever knowledge someone like Pawnee, in particular, might already have about the forge and its purpose, its ancient significance. But I don't know how at the moment.
I think that's something we should leave with as few people knowing about it as possible.
Yeah,
It's probably a good idea to discuss that with her in private.
yeah. I don't like. I
Yes.
barely want to discuss it with her. I want to. I'm trying to think of how I can prod at her brain meats with without actually bringing up the forge itself. I don't want to give her the information that I'm trying to find out whether or not she already knows. Does it seem like she's holding, like, there's an air of deceit? It does seem like she's holding something back right now. Or is she misleading, or is she withholding?
Make me an insight check on that one. You're unsure at the moment.
Can I
What's up?
by drawing Seldov's attention when I see him looking suspicious? Can I
Yeah, given
behind my back raise a hand
the narrow eyes.
kind of in a I got what's going on and give him assistance on the inside.
You may roll that with advantage.
Thank you. Now
Oh,
we're
that's
talking.
so much better.
Thank you. Thank you for the mushroom help.
With the assistance from one who leans, your second quick glance, though the first one was swallowed perhaps by the chaotic maelstrom of emotion in the room, your second glance, you get a very tangible hint of Pawnee, and you definitely get a hint of deceit, but not necessarily deception. there is something not being said.
Okay. Yeah. Not a deception of, not misleading, not telling us something wrong, telling us something incorrect, but not telling us something.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Keep that in mind.
Above table, we at least now know that we gotta keep an eye on her.
Yeah. Above table, I'm gonna follow her after this meeting.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all, because y'all saw me like slip her a note, right?
Last
I don't think
last
I
session.
did.
Last session, yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
You would have seen one Hulene's hand something to Pawnee for sure.
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
She didn't miss a beat in her talking. So. Yeah. Where she just got past the note and just looked at it, and there was dick butt drawn on it, and then she just put it away.
Yeah, they're just passing memes back and forth.
Yeah.
This one currently has no further inquiries.
Hey, sweetie.
Excellent. As stated before, I shall be remaining within the village for tonight and at least as much tomorrow as we might be able to buy. Gale and the dwarves will be returning to the settlement sometime soon. If you have any questions for any of the individuals that perhaps you didn't want to discuss in front of everyone, make sure you corner them before they abscond away.
Just full on Kabadon them. Hey.
Yeah.
Wither kind of looks at both the dwarven engineer right next to them and Timus and is like, we do have business to discuss. We could do that and finalize plans and such. Yes?
Absolutely.
Above the table, did I ever get back the Boan fruit, or did I leave it with the dwarves?
No, you took it back.
Yeah,
Alright.
you've got it back.
Maybe we could discuss it over a game of cards, maybe.
He's just like.
I think we can play some cards if you're interested. By all means. It's my understanding the noodle shop across the way, while the proprietor has already evacuated, they have left some noodles for all of you.
Oh. Delicious.
Huh,
And
sounds
something to drink, I believe.
Oh, good.
But we can play there if you like.
Certainly.
Excellent.
Yep, you are both welcome. As he turns to the engineer as well, you're more than welcome to join us if you'd like.
The engineer nods. I do believe the engineer and the mason will be planning to join us. And Gethos will come along as well.
Wither kind of looks at Gethos. Didn't seem much like a gambler to me, more of a scholar.
No, dude, this is awesome. This is like the same energy that was at MagFest. This is the fucking nerd table. You all are about to play Magic together.
Yeah.
And he just
Bellamy will,
follows.
Bellamy will
It's
try
4
to
of you. You're
leave.
gonna play Commander.
Bellamy will try to leave before the rest of the group and get a quick look to the kitchen first for some good ingredients.
Yeah, there's still some cooking materials and ingredients left behind. A lot of the cooking apparatuses and different silverware and pots and pans, of course, seem to be missing, as do a lot of the more valuable ingredients, but there's still stuff there, as well as a large pot of noodles looking like they are ready to be served.
Anything that looks like it could be used for a particular good meal?
Yeah, there's some stuff there.
All
Some
right,
spices,
so
some herbs.
I'll pick up what I can and leave a couple goals behind.
As the meeting's adjourned, I'm gonna draw close to Gail and try to get her attention. Gail, this one is glad to see you are well.
The feeling is mutual. I'm glad you've all made it back in one piece.
This one would inquire, how fare your people?
Let's suppose it depends on what you mean. By my people, do you mean the individuals at the settlement? Do you mean the fellow diplomats and envoys? Or do you mean my fellow people from Chromus?
The last ones, indeed. This one remembers you were looking for a place for them.
They are as well as can be expected. There have already been some who have made the trip from Chromus to the Prime Plane, and from there to the settlement. They've been assisting in building some of the infrastructure up.
Have any of them gone to the villages in Trelune?
We have sent representatives to Trelune to seek out whether or not these villages that you suggested would serve our needs or not.
Indeed. This one does know that they would welcome any any more working hands. Should the need arise, do remember, this is an available option.
She nods at that, smiling what she intends to be a hopeful smile for one who leans. It is my hope that we can find some mutually beneficial arrangement for sure. Though moving people to Trelune is a little bit more of a involved task, as Trelune has official representatives and a voice within the city. They weigh in on whether or not they want strangers and refugees being presented to their world or not. Yomei, and she makes a bit of a face as she says, like, she's not proud of this fact. Yomei, on the other hand, has no official representatives, has no official business or stance, and so is more apt to be utilized. It's a uncomfortable form of colonization.
This one has done its very best to officialize as much as of the relationship as possible. Hopefully, this moral dilemma will resolve itself.
You have certainly made great strides and have helped open up Trelune and its people to be more accepting of outsiders, in an unofficial capacity, of course, as most on Trelune still are not aware of all that there is outside of Trelune.
Indeed. That goes as well for most of the villages this one comes from. Those are rural people with their own worries and occupations. The grand scheme of things is perhaps out of their scope.
But it is certainly something that would prove mutually beneficial
Wow.
and enlightening to have some new hands, some new blood amongst the area.
Yep. Meow.
Yes, and while they might seem aloof at first, you will find them quite welcoming.
Is there anything else you wish to discuss?
Let me think. I think I
Hmm.
had something, and then I lost it, and then I found it again, and then I lost it again. Yes. This one does hope that the proverbial red tape does not prove too much of an obstruction for any of our endeavors. This one has been pushed back already with his request for teachers for the new mushroom folk.
I have unfortunately heard all about that. Most of the communications came through my office within the settlement, of course. But I do have some good news in that regards.
Oh?
There has been a druid from the city, originally from another world far off, one that was lost long ago to the Empire of Shadow, that has shown some interest in journeying here to Yome to speak with your progeny and assist in their training.
This would be wonderful. This one looks forward to meeting them. Although it must correct you, these mushroom folk are not this one's progeny.
Are they
Have been
not? My apologies.
they have been grown here through divine will.
Her eyebrows raise up a little bit. She's like, oh. Well, regardless, I shall make sure to send word when that individual arrives.
This is greatly appreciated. Thank you, Gale.
So you know that moment when you're like, maybe you're hanging out with a bunch of friends at a coffee shop or whatever, and like you all are kind of like going back to the parking lot, and you're waiting for that moment to like break off and go back to your car.
Mm-hmm.
That's this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for people to. I'm waiting for Pawnee in particular to leave.
I want to go. This one has no further things to discuss. But do not hesitate if you have any request to make of it.
Of course. I will still be here for at least a short period of time. The dwarves wanted to discuss some things with Felgwyn and Furu before we ourselves take our leave and head back to the settlement.
Understood. This one will visit the sepulchre in this settlement and give a prayer. Sorry, you detected a lie.
Hmm.
And no reaction this time.
Blessings with you then, one who leans.
And with you as well.
I'll actually follow one who leans.
With all the conversation done, Yozora is going to be following as well, not quite going the same way. Especially since I doubt anything sensitive will be spoken of while Yozora is sitting right there.
Unless Giselle doesn't join him.
Hmm.
Meanwhile, Philomene will have gotten to Pia's shop, and she'll be looking for a war horn and maybe a particularly good wine or something.
You absolutely are able to find a war horn. There's a small selection of them in there. Some with like inlaid silver filigree. Some are just very plain and simple. As far as a good wine, I suppose that's up to the imbiber, but there are a selection of wines that you can find, and they don't seem to be, bad by any means. They're probably aggressively mid-tier.
I had a bad thought. If you wanted a war horn, you could have made a couple
Oh
already.
no. No.
Oh no!
Oh.
No, just no. Philomene will get one of the ones filigreed with silver in it. Well, whichever one looks like it would play the best. She does have proficiency with war horns, so with horns, so she'd like to pick one that looks like it'd be the best quality as an instrument. And she'll pick whatever wine seems tastiest. One bottle of whatever wine seems tastiest, and a couple bottle of the cheapest, bottom of the barrel one.
Okay.
Bonnie acting sus.
Yes. What?
Shortly after everyone else has left, including Yozora, Pawnee steps out, proceeds down the path, spots one who leans, and Dove makes a subtle gesture and disappears amongst the trees.
Shuffle, shuffle.
Discreet shuffle.
Your note was well received, though unnecessary. I am glad to see that your mind is where it should be.
Indeed. This one requested of Pawnee that should she suspect anyone in the room, she should withhold information regarding our numbers.
And thus so, which I will now divulge to you, as you will be in charge of the defenses for the most part. Your divine followers, children, whatever you wish to call them, they are currently slightly to the northeast of Bannock 2, where they have been training, at least the ones that you indicated not be done for farming. Those are, as Gale implied, at the settlement, where they've been learning and perfecting their technique as far as farming goes.
Good.
The workers are going to be those who aid us in building the barricades, whereas the last few, those you wanted trained specifically in druid crafting, they will be with you on the field of battle and will engage following your directives, I suppose. They will be a smaller unit than the typical soldiers that you will all be in charge of, but they will still be an asset that is on the field. Additionally, I have secured other resources and reinforcements from the city that I simply did not wish to divulge in front of everyone. For while I don't necessarily believe that someone in that room was a informant or working for the Empire in any capacity, I cannot be sure nor can I be sure that there are no other ears listening that we simply cannot see. The Arcs, under Hanzo's command, will be sending a unit of their newly trained soldiers. An orc by the name of Grub Smasher. He's done quite a good job at training the new recruits for the Arcs, and we'll be getting some of the first fresh green soldiers on the field that will be there to assist. Additionally, we will have a small contingent of the City Lord's elite who will be there to assist as well.
Really? Ah. Well, that's good. There is a particular threat that we've been made aware of. One of the... What were they called again? The children of the damned, or children of the night, or something like
Children of the Umbral.
that. Umbral, yes. I'll somewhat, hesitantly sort of scan Pawnee a little and bring it up. Say, there is likely to be at least one of the number of the Umbral children gunning for us in this encounter.
Pawnee completely and utterly seems to be slapped in the face by that news.
Mm-hmm.
The color drains from her. She looks pale. Her eyes are wide and her arms fall limp at her side. The children of the Umbral, here on Yome.
It would appear so.
All evidence points to that being the case.
They seem to have a vested interest in this place. You and I have spoken a little bit before about the potential dangers here on Yome. Is there anything you care to share at this point? Anything further?
If in fact this news is correct, it means that this empire that we are facing may not simply be an empire of Yome's making, but may in fact be the empire of Shadow itself. The children of the Umbral. They are the ones who started the Empire of Shadow. They are the ones who lead it. And they are the greatest threat to both the city and to free, living, breathing individuals, such as she gestures all around. Everyone here.
We must be careful about how this information goes around. But should the worst come to worst, these would be efficient scissors to our proverbial red tape.
If in fact it is, it would change everything. Yome would not simply be a potential new world to exploit and seek the resources and allies from. It would become the first and a front of a new war that is going to break out across all of creation.
These...
This one should ask for a raise.
I like the way you think.
It was humor.
These individuals, this ancient force seeks to gain an advantage against us, against everything. They are looking for something. Whatever it is, we cannot let them find it.
I wholeheartedly agree. If this is in fact the work of the Empire of Shadows itself, having lingered beyond the veil all this time, it is dishearteningly comedic that the very first world that we would seek is one where they have already entrenched themselves.
This one
Deeply.
believes the covetousness for the free territories is no mere coincidence. After all, it is no coincidence either that the only active portal we could come through was in there.
And it does, at least somewhat, explain why we have found ruins that have seemed so familiar.
Right. Upon mention of the arcs, it brought that in particular to mind.
Pani shakes her head. She seems completely beside herself, and you get very much just the sense that she is now rethinking and doubting every single plan and every potential engagement that is about to happen.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Good that she
I'm
has
gonna give her-
information now.
I'm gonna give her guidance and go. Steady yourself, Bonnie. Decisions must now be made with a clear head.
You are, of course, correct. It is the time to seek clarity, to not perhaps doubt. But it is also time to prepare.
And I have made a long career out of the importance of information and its limited dissemination. You are currently far better equipped than you were moments ago. I do hope this helps with these decisions.
It will help some, yes. If you encounter soldiers in the battle to come, and they are different than any you might have expected, insect-like beings, perhaps, I want you to make a full and hasty retreat. Head directly for the settlement. Send whatever word you might here to Bonnock 2 so that we may join you. But do not further engage, should you come across any large insect-like soldiers. Am I understood?
Insect-like, bipedal.
Indeed.
Understood.
Understood.
Actually, in fact, she will reach into her robes and pull out a small, smooth, what looks to be like glass, perhaps, cylinder. And she will hold it out for one of you to take. This is a signal flare. The runes on it, you can see, fairly simple, different colors. The crimson one, she smirks a bit at the irony. Select the crimson one, point it into the air, speak the command word, and it will fire off a bright crimson signal into the sky that will be seen for leagues around. We will see it here. We will know that that is the indicator, the signal to retreat immediately. If, instead, you are successful and win the day, set it to the blue rune here, and she's turning it in her hands and showing you the different runes and which ones to activate.
Bop it.
And should you lose the fight, but there is no insect-like beings that you detect or have seen, use this soft yellow one here to indicate retreat, but not a calamity of a retreat.
Understood. Could you perhaps elaborate on the danger these insectoid beings present?
I'll take the flare.
She pauses for a moment, and you see her hesitating before she takes a breath, shakes her head, and then seems to give herself like a whole body shake, like it rolls her shoulders a little bit, takes another deep breath. These insect-like creatures are the infantry, the bulk of the army for the Empire of Shadow, a race of creatures that they long since have subjugated. They are brutally efficient, nearly impossible to communicate with, and highly skilled in the military aspects, having been bred and cultivated for a singular purpose by the Empire, that being warfare. They may, in fact, prove, should you engage them, to be more than even any one of you can handle. And should they get their hands upon you, I do not believe that they will kill you outright. They will likely take you prisoner first, and then you will be in the hands of their masters. And that, I can assure you, is a fate that you would rather avoid if possible.
Dove looks into the middle distance. Yes. Not again. Could this information, at least partially, impress upon those from the city that stakes may have escalated somewhat?
I can assure you whole and completely that when this information is relayed to the city, there will be one of two outcomes. One, we are to abandon this world, destroy anything and everything that we have made here, retreat through the door, and destroy it. Or two, we receive every bit of reinforcement and resource that they may be able to muster as the battle lines are drawn.
I would hope for the second. It would seem unwise to leave those of the Shadow Empire with free reign of this place, to scour it for whatever it is they so desperately seek.
And I will be honest that I do not know which outcome I would personally prefer. I do not relish meeting the Empire of Shadow again.
This does beg the question. One of our number does, ostensibly, act as a representative of the Shadow Emperor's desires. What is their goal in this? I had inferred that the city lord had negotiated for at least some sort of armistice from the old eras.
Far from it, I'm afraid. We've been met with a long age of peace, because rather than face the Empire and possibly lose, the City Lord employed heroes of the Second Age, the Raven Queen, and his own considerable vast resources, and cloaked an entire section of reality, hiding it behind a veil so that they would forget us and leave us be. They have found us once more, it seems, and we may have also in turn found them.
Hmm.
Their goal, ever as it was in the Second Age. What do you know of the Aven people?
Hey, Mog.
Yeah, go ahead, both of you make history checks.
What's your history mod?
This one.
Can I help you instead of rolling?
Oh, yeah? You got
No
a 0?
assistance available in this. This is
Okay.
a roll for each of you to make.
Ah.
The simple answer both of you might have at this point is, what's an Aven?
Hmm.
What is an Aven?
A nearly dead and extinct species that once ruled over most of creation. At the end of the First Age, when the great elven empires collapsed, their favored children, the Aven, swooped in, gathered power, and protected most of what was remaining, building their own vast star empire. When the children of the Umbral showed up, they bore the brunt of the assault. They bought everyone time in order to find a way to either defeat them, to retreat, to seek refuge. But because of it, the Aven were decimated. They now only exist on at least 2 worlds that I know of. The world of Eridesh, where they still rule in secret, and the world of Achipta, where they have been the sole guardians of the last rift, the opening in the veil. And they look after a massive armory of weaponry left over from
Yeah.
the First Age and buried and kept a secret.
This could prove an invaluable asset. Also, you triggered my ass when you said Star Empire. I was like, Romulans?
Mhm. At least one of them was, in fact, based heavily on the Romulans, by the way. One of the Elven empires.
Above table, a little
Yeah.
reminder, refresher. Athos is from the plane of Shadow.
Correct.
The Shadow Empire is different.
Something else entirely.
This is a completely different thing.
All shall be revealed in due time.
Ah,
That's not ominous at all.
Oh, we can fret in the meantime. This one
great.
does have a request to make of you, Bonnie.
Of course.
It has not the means to do so at present time, but it would request you investigate a particular subject. Yomei appears to have a sister world, and finding it might be key to resolving this conflict, as they
Do
have
you-
done so in the past.
Do you know the name of this other world?
So when Ulines does,
Yes.
I forgot.
I am pulling up my notes now. Give me a second here.
But yeah, if you don't remember it, I will provide the name because, this is something one of Helene's was told for sure.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But yeah, if you've got it in your notes, if anybody remembers, speak up.
I don't tend to write things down.
You should-
Um,
You should see my level heads notes. It's just food. Everything my character ate.
well, luckily for everybody, I do take notes when I can. Mayukarai, I think is how you say it.
That is, and that's yeah, Mayukarai. Yeah, very well.
Ha!
Very good.
Notes
The
for the
world
win.
of Mayukarai, which I remembered without help.
She
Over in
blinks
the-
her eyes and gives you a very surprised look. Mayukarai. We have a group already on Mayukarai, escorting the prince as he seeks to reclaim his throne.
Mhm. A prince, you say?
Yes, Lord Rahalis Sunwalker.
From what this one has learned, the world of Mayukarai has made great sacrifice in an attempt to remain at peace, and has succeeded in doing so.
Do I
Truly.
recall some of the gear that Felomir found being related to the Sunwalkers?
You have, in fact, some knowledge of the fact that it was a Sunwalker blade, yeah.
Yep, indeed.
Yes. Huh. It would appear, on the topic of ancient armories. Well, it would appear that perhaps that was once Yome's purpose.
Pawnee frowns in thought for a moment. Upon the Prime Plane's surface, very recently, a group of adventurers stumbled across a vault that they were pointed out to by this Prince Rohalis. It was a Sunwalker vault. And it seems that Rohalis is heir to not only a throne, but some ancient order. Curious.
Those who, by the sound of it, those who would directly oppose the Shadow Empire.
They appear indeed to be their ancient enemy.
I do believe that it is perhaps not an accident that has brought us to Yome. Fate is acting in its own interests.
There do appear to be an unusual level of divine involvement with this matter.
I'll say.
One second, I gotta go pee real quick.
Okay. Well then.
By the way,
For
I'll
the-
do this. Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, just a small, for the record, when you did the whole, I remember the name of the world without any help. Yozora in the corner sneezes as this bullshit goes off.
I just wanted to specify that while you're having this conversation with Bonnie, at some point you see Felomir just walking down the road, not even noticing you like.
Carrying an armload of goodies.
Among other things. She just seemed to be headed to wherever we had our encampments previously settled.
Yeah, this all seems very connected and way beyond my pay grade.
Hmm. Dev's still trying to work out. How is Hot Boy connected to it?
Mm-hmm.
I will note, I think that this whole thing is way above any of our pay grades. And yeah, we're one of the groups having to deal with it.
if at the moment for now it's above our pay grade, but it may become our pay grade eventually.
We need a
I have a
raise.
feeling.
Sometimes it's not about who's what your pay grade is. It's about whether you're the one that's there.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I mean, if one who leans ever makes it back to Triloon, I'm expecting it to be accompanied with chariots full of gold.
Yeah. Yeah. We are the ones who are here, so we're at least owed a finder's fee.
And hazard pay?
Oh, yeah.
Without question.
Deathly hazard pay.
Hmm. Our per diem is your average retirement fund.
Mhm.
Times about 10.
I mean, one who leans is gonna live like maybe 5 more years,
Yeah.
so it's not gonna be a big requirement to have a retirement fund.
Yeah.
I mean, you might want to your last few weeks to be the best one you can have.
Hmm.
Barring, the Feywild not completely imploding, Yozora's got a fallback of a kingdom, so it's like once this is,
Yeah.
when they're done adventuring, they can fall back and just go, I'm going to sequester myself in the royal library and say fuck the world, fuck everybody else. I'm reading.
Yeah, and also one who leans has no concept of vacation or
Yeah.
retirement.
Yeah. Just it exists for a purpose. It's not employment.
And Felmy, if she ever recovers, she's pretty much found the path to handle Pat, so she's probably gonna devote herself to the path between and to maybe joining the Sunwalkers.
Wither's just gonna need a parachute to get out of all that gambling debt.
You sure about
Sorry
that?
about that. I'm back.
Welcome back.
I guess we'll find out.
We were discussing retirement options.
Yeah.
Bold of you to assume adventurers get to retire.
Yeah, I said if I ever make it back to Triloon, I better be accompanied by chariots full of gold.
And I was like, yeah, if the Feywild doesn't implode and doesn't everything, Yozora can just fall back to home. It's like, screw this. I've satisfied my wanderlust. Where's the library?
Just between me and Phalemy, you've probably gotten that tenfold.
Right.
Yeah.
So Connie does have now more information to work with.
Good. I'm glad she didn't, ping my mole senses. So.
Yeah, my fault.
Yeah.
Well, not entirely, but yeah.
Pawnee hesitates for a moment as she seems to be considering something more. There were more than one task set before the group that made their way to Mayukarai. One group is for sure there to assist Rahalis in reclaiming his throne. But one amongst the expedition, if you remember the sprite that opened the door for us, Miku,
I do.
she has also gone to Mayukarai. And she is currently searching for the door that exists upon Mayukarai that leads to the Feywild.
Really? I'm sure that would be of great interest to you, Zora.
To our knowledge, Mayukarai is the only world that has a known doorway to the Feywild. Miku has used it before, she being from the Feywild. she intends to return there to seek help from the Archfey and to investigate further on what has been going on in the Feywild. Because we've been believing that it was only a matter of time before the Empire of Shadow found us once more. And we would need all allies we could possibly get to face them the second time around.
Yozora might have more information regarding happenings in the Feywild.
Most likely. And they seem to be rather incensed by the presence of these so-called traitors here on Yomei. And the possibility of there being more to gravitate to this siren, to embolden them, become something of a haven.
This one has no affiliation either way, and is perfectly fine welcoming a neutral faction within these territories. However, it does not wish to cause discomfort.
I do think that you are correct, at least, in the speaking with Yozora, and maybe putting your heads together on this could be of some benefit.
Sure. Besides, the Feywild's like some pure life energy or some bullshit like that. I'm sure that is anathema to the Shadow Empire, given our prophecies that have loomed as of late. Well, enjoy the rest of your night.
Indeed, we have much planning to do.
Pawnee nods and will make her way discreetly through
There
the
is-
trees.
There is one last question I would ask of you.
She hesitates and turns back. Yes?
The creatures you described, the insect-like creatures, would even a single individual present a large enough threat for us to retreat?
She pauses and considers. A single one, perhaps not. As long as you're confident that you can win the day against a single one, feel free to press the matter. But even if you do see a single one and you do feel you are to be overwhelmed, you know you are to get out of there.
Understood. We should advise depending on the situation then. Thank you for your time, Pawnee. And your discretion.
I'm gonna go up the building. Go gargoyle on the roof. And watch for silver birds.
By the way, I said so while you were away, Mark, but somewhere between the conversation, Phil and me will have walked past on the road and down into where she had her own little encampment.
Okay?
So she won't have noticed the group, but
Okay.
the group might have noticed her trips scurrying about.
Okay. All right. So Philomene heads for her little camp down there, a little bit south. Let's
Yep,
stop
sure.
in, see how Wither's doing.
This is gonna go brilliantly.
Well, Wither
See how
has
much gold he loses.
passed out, has went ahead and passed out bowls to everybody, and set up a nice little card game to kind of play, to see what we see. And sorry, hang on, I gotta go AFK for a moment. It's worst timing scenario.
No worries. We'll catch up with Yozora instead.
Okay, I'm probably the simplest in the whole bunch. With everything that's been going on recently, with the, for lack of a better term, the failures that Yozora is perceiving them with Finny, with Bohan's death, and Yozora blaming themselves for that one because they're the ones that suggested, split the party. We can handle this quickly enough. They're actually looking for a place to practice. They just need, they're going to. That's a quick question because I'm thinking about that above the table. You said that I'm going to have double a spell range. Is that because we're going to have people behind us, or some magical thing, just as an explanation?
Yes, it does seem to be something that will likely be magically special about Yozora.
Okay. Basically, as Yozora has figured out or has been informed about the range or whatever it is, and is doing the whole, I need to practice hitting things at that distance. And that is the big goal, and then get themselves back in the right headspace, given everything that's been going on.
Okay.
So the big thing is they're just looking for, a place to practice safely without accidentally, shooting someone coming out of their shop with an Eldritch Blast.
Fair enough.
We're here to be peaceful and diplomatic and get these people to like us. Hitting someone who's coming out of the noodle shop with an Eldritch Blast probably would not foster great relations with them.
But yes, there is likely to be somewhere near to town where you can find some rudimentary targets that have probably already been set up and have been in use by the different soldiers and practice ranges, and likely the dancers for them to practice as well. That will be somewhat nearby where you can do some practice by all means.
Yeah, that's Yozora's big goal, is practicing, for lack of a term, sniping, trying to, hone the craft, for lack of a better term, trying to make up again for their perceived past failures. They need to be at the top of their game and ready for whatever they can, especially given, we've been informed about the Umbral children. Yes, I know Yozora doesn't know exactly what's going on with them, but still.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But that's Yozora's big play here. It's just, I'm not trying to seem antisocial, but it's need practice, need to get ready. You need to be ready for this shit show that we're about to walk into. I'm going to have people depending on me, and I cannot fail again. And time to ponder some personal questions that have been brought up that is okay, I don't have anything to do. Let's think about this and keep the thoughts close to home as opposed to focusing on the big world.
Okay, I know what I'm gonna do.
Oh, hey, we've got Aiden back.
I didn't realize I was still selected on here.
No worries, I couldn't resist. So yeah, I know I've got the simple plan here, so we can go back to Wither unless somebody wants to come poke at Yozora in a bit.
All right, Wither, what you got going on?
So, like I said, I have passed out the bowls of noodles and such, and we're having a good chat, kind of figuring out what we can do for this. And it's just like he looks over to Timus, and he's like, so these different things that you've been messing with, how long would it take for you to do some of these things?
What do you mean? To make a prototype and bring it to you, or mass produce them?
For a prototype, for one, something I could maybe test out on the battlefield myself.
Ah, well, we wouldn't have anything ready by tomorrow, if that's what you're meaning, unfortunately.
Okay. Tell you what. How would you be able to do all of these things in due time with what you have?
Well, with enough time and effort, we could make all of them, yes?
I'll tell you what. Since we're here having a good time, why don't we play for how much you make for me, free of charge? He kind of gives a little smirk, putting his cards on the table.
Well, we weren't going to charge you anyway. We're making this for you as thanks for the help you gave us.
Okay. Just throw me for a curveball above table. I figured he was only going to do one of them, but
Well, they were originally planning only to do one, but if you want them all, they will do them. It'll just take longer.
yeah. Well, if you could start work on the spear first, that would be wonderful.
The spear first? Absolutely, we can get right on that when we get back.
And then, if you would want to work on each of the other two, this cartridge ranged weapon you mentioned, as well as the turtle, this turtle shell, I believe you mentioned, that we could figure things out and look about at getting this to some of our defensive units, that because we may need this in the coming months and such. Get those more mass produced, if anything.
So the individual personalized shield you don't care for, but the group one, yes. The spear, and of course the cartridge ranged weapon.
Oh, I forgot about the shield. How long would that take?
All of them, or just one of them?
The spear and the shield specifically.
We might be able to get that done in about a week or so.
If you could make those two the priority, and then maybe like in your downtime, maybe start working on the ranged weapon for me, and then maybe try and mass produce the turtle shell, because that could certainly be useful. And I could definitely test all of these things in due time.
I tell you, lad, you just said months of work, mass producing one of the items and working on all of them together. That's going to take time. Not that we mind, of course. We're happy to do so. Just don't expect them to be of any use anytime soon.
That is fine. As long as you get the spear and the shield for me, that'll be perfect.
Very well. We've got your measurements, and maybe we'll take some other measurements back at the settlement when we get ready to leave, but we'll see what we can do for you.
Definitely sounds like a great idea. Now, shall we get to some cards and put some money on the table on this, just for fun?
Absolutely. Play! And he will gesture and put some gold on the table.
Now, I'm hazy on how we did this last time.
Roll me a d20.
Now, I do want it, but I do want to know how I can add in my my background, so to speak.
Mhm, mhm. Roll a d20.
Okay.
All right. If you'd like, you may roll a deception to try and bluff that higher. Okay.
Got ourselves an average roll.
As the round plays out, you attempt to bluff your hand a little bit higher. It seems that the engineer and the mason, at least, are going to fold immediately. But you already know that the current winning hand this round is going to go to Gethos, unless you are able to out-bluff Gethos.
Okay.
Or you can fold and lose no money this round.
I'm gonna go for it.
Okay.
Of course.
The Forge Master will themselves eventually fold on this round, and then it's between simply you and Gethos will fold, and you will win this round.
Whether I'll give a nice little shy little smile and take the pot and
That is 6 gold.
all
Hmm.
right. I'll keep track of that.
For the second round, the Forge Master will take the cards, will shuffle, and will deal them.
All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead and make your d20.
All right.
The engineer, it seems this time, has the best hand at the table. You know, your hand is not very good at all. Gethos folds immediately. The Forge Master right behind that. And the Mason right behind that. So that it will be you and the engineer. If you would like to try and bluff your way to victory this time.
Yeah, but what does Aiden have?
Yeah, Aiden's just peeking over the edge of the table. Keeps trying to like bite cards as they get dealt past.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm just going to the whole the joke about the cat sat at the table and they made it the druid.
Mm-hmm.
Whether I'll kind of look over at the engineering, kind of give her a little wink, and he's gonna try and deceive her.
Go ahead. She does not buy into your deception this time, and will play the round out, and she will win the hand.
Clever. Well played. What will that be?
That is another 6 gold, but this time it goes towards the engineer. All right, so at this point, roll me a D100.
All right.
and then make a deception check.
All right.
Okay.
There you go.
The Forge Master and the Engineer, as you continue to play hands all night, they seem to be losing more than they are winning, and you seem to be beating them. However, the Mason and Gethos, and for Gethos, maybe it's beginner's luck, maybe they are a ringer and you didn't know it, but they seem to be winning more than they are losing, for sure. And at the end of the night, the Mason will win the bulk of the gold, Gethos second, and you, Wither, will come in third. You're going to... How late do you want to play?
We'll go about an hour or so, if anything. Just I still have some things I need to do beforehand.
Okay.
Poker is like 1 hour. You haven't done much. Like it's but I mean, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For
I
consistency.
mean, I don't want to go too late. I mean, I'm trying to think. How
You will
late is
earn-
it right now?
You will earn 31 gold for the games.
All right.
Gethos is going to walk away with 50, and the Engineer is going to walk away with 63.
All right.
Thought
Yeah.
this was
Especially when you
Jesus.
play with assholes like me who just spend 20 minutes on a call.
Yeah.
We'll look
All right,
around.
so by all means, you all sit around playing some cards, doing some gamblings, having some fun. Dove is perched up, gargoyling. Yozora has wandered off to practice. And before we move to follow Philome and see what they're up to, what are you up to, One Who Leans?
I'm going up to the ritual site. I know. I think you said the mushroom folk are not there.
I mean, if you want just a place to pray, there is this over here.
No, there's something I want to do with the old man that was taking care of them.
Okay.
I want to go there and I want to lead a ceremony for him. Since I've never had the time to do so. A ceremony of dedication to the gods of life and death and to the cycle. It's symbolic because mechanically it just gives him like a d4 on saving throws, but it's not. It's something I want to do for him because I may not have the chance to do that if I die in battle.
Absolutely.
Yay, ceremony. I really like that. That's a very RP heavy spell.
Mm-hmm.
As you make your way slightly north of Bannock 2 down the path, you do eventually see him. He seems to be, as always, tending the grounds. Looks like he's currently getting rid of some weeds.
Garothiak, this one greets you.
Ah, One Who Leans. It's good to see you again.
This one, something it wishes to do before it departs for the conflict that is to take place tomorrow.
Of course, my friend. How can I help?
You have proved a wonderful guardian for the new life in this world. And I'm sure you will make an amazing disciple within the circle. This one wishes to dedicate a ceremony to your dedication to the cycle and life and death.
Well, that is Truthfully, that is far too
Well-
kind of you, but I do appreciate
well.
the gesture. What do I need to do? Do I need to do anything?
It will be simple. And I'm gonna begin saying to prepare the stuff. I'm gonna prepare a sort of bowl with some sand in it, a stick of incense, and gesture him to come sit opposite me behind it.
He will join you, finding a spot on the ground.
The cycle of life and death is represented in many different ways, in many different worlds. Members of our circle do not dedicate themselves to a particular god, but to all those who involve themselves with the domains of life and the domains of death. Some of them might be found good by the people of their world. Some of them might be found evil by the same people. But we do not judge and simply acknowledge their place within the grand cycle. You have witnessed the appearance of such a divinity, one who affects many worlds, the Great Mound. This one will dedicate this prayer and this ceremony to your dedication to it and its counterpart.
Before you proceed, Karothiak will reach out, placing his hand on your wrist and holding you steady for a moment. I must ask, do you believe one who has been dedicated to death, so much so that even now they find only comfort and companionship amongst the resting dead? Do you think that one such as that is worthy of all this? And he gestures at the ritual you are preparing.
There are few worthier, my friend, as your dedication is exemplary, and death is but the end of life and the beginning of a new one.
He nods slowly, releases your wrist, and nods for you to go on.
And I know I'm a good writer, but I don't have a whole ceremony planned. So so yeah, basically I'm gonna instruct him to repeat some prayer after me over the incense, focus himself on the cycle, the sense of oneness within everything, that life, even his own, goes cyclically with everything else, that when his time comes, it will simply be a new beginning, and he promises to dedicate himself to the continuation of this endless life.
He hesitates for just a little bit, listening to your words, before he gestures. Please, if you would start over and begin again, I will speak the words with you. And then he will do as he indicated. If you start over and again begin to speak the words, he will follow them, mimicking you afterwards, and he will join in the ceremony.
Of course. And yet, while it isn't, well, like I said, the circle I'm part of doesn't worship a particular god and goes with every representatives of life and death. This one is a little bit more pointed towards the Great Mound and the Great Glade. just to have some coverage. And yeah, that's gonna be the ceremony.
All right. As you continue with the ceremony, he joins in, and the two of you will invoke a blessing upon the to come manners. The ceremony itself will take a small amount of time, perhaps.
An hour.
But, yeah. But in that time, you seem to have given him a bit of a gift, a new outlook, and potentially a new understanding of one's role in not just everyday today life, but the great cycle itself. And you'll be granted inspiration.
Oh.
Yay!
Where's that?
Inspiration through meaningful gestures.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
Quite. Nodders all around.
You didn't see Slappy.
Meanwhile,
May the cycle be with you. May the cycle be with you.
Philemy.
Yep.
What are you up to?
Well, just give me a second because there's that little freeze whenever a new map.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. I don't know why. There's always like about a minute where the map doesn't let me do anything. There we go. So Felemy will make her way past to our little usual encampment. Past her to look wistfully on it and reminisce for a couple minutes. At which point she'll just move past again. And once at her camp, she'll gather up a bunch of cushions, a couple blankets, maybe anything that can serve as a candle holder. And then she'll pull out one of the cheap bottles she got from Pia. By the way, you let me know how much gold I need to take out for that. But she'll take out one of the cheap bottle of wine, drink straight from it, and then add into the wooded areas in search of a clearing.
Okay.
By the way, what time is it right now?
It is quickly getting to be dark. There's just a little bit of light left that is slowly creeping through.
Alright, just about good. So, like I said, she'll be starting to drink straight from the battle, heading into the wood, searching for a nice little clearing that will do for her plans, and then once she finds one, she'll sit down and start cooking.
Okay.
And that will take at least a couple hours. You already know what I'm building up to.
Let me know if anybody has any issues loading this map. There's some special effects going on it.
Nope, surprisingly, it has loaded up right away.
Looks good to me.
I've got no issues at the moment.
Sparklies.
Sounds good.
You do, in fact, find a nice clearing, somewhat close to Bannock 2, but still out far enough in the wilderness to be very wild, I suppose. And there are occasional sparks and glimpses of wispy magic energy that you can see floating all around.
Philomene will nod in a precision, finding this clearing to be absolutely perfect. And then she'll sit down. In one corner, she'll set all her cooking instruments and start a small fire to start cooking. But in the middle of it all, she'll set a small tablecloths, and start preparing for dinner. And to be clear, she will be drinking heavily through it all.
All right. Are you doing anything else while you're doing this?
Not really. Part of it will involve carefully picking out every single berry out of her hair and setting it aside. But no, it's pretty much just cooking and preparing for dinner.
Okay. Yeah. There's just the slightest of a breeze to the trees. The branches and the nettles and the leaves on the various will shake slightly. The wisps of magic energy will flit about here and there.
Philomene will, no matter how long it takes, Philomene will take until the moon is well up in the sky before she moves away from this spot.
Mhm. But yeah, you will be able to continue unabated. And then back, of course, in Bannock 2. Dove, what are you up to?
Casually observing the goings on of the people still remaining in the village. But mostly kind of keeping an eye on the sky to see if a silver raven approaches. Tapping one foot, pulling on a cigarette.
That's the scene.
It's that sort of just nervous leg bouncing energy.
As the night wears on, you do not see any ravens approaching. You do watch as Gale and the rest of the celestial dwarves begin to make their way out of town, followed slowly by the group that has been playing cards with Wither.
It does kind of feel like it has that same end of Magfest vibes that was so heartbreaking on Sunday when the normally chatty, happy, if not bustling, the normally somewhat energetic environs of the town just seem to be falling deathly quiet.
It does, in fact, start to seem very quiet in town. The few buildings that still had chimney smoke, eventually even they will seem to wisp away, the last trails of the smoke blown away on the wind, as most of the town now is evacuated.
As the sun sets, no raven arrives.
It in fact seems that as darkness descends, there has yet been no raven.
I'll come down. Say to myself, I can only hope that they're unrelated. Narrow my eyes and shake the thoughts away and go into the store. And just scour for anything useful, anything catches my eye.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's all sorts of likely potentially useful things in there, from just simple supplies to, weapons. Knives, swords, it's crossbows, bolts, arrows, etc., etc.
When I make my way back in town, do I see Saldov going into the store?
Yeah, you probably arrive back in time enough to see Dove make their way into the store.
Okay, I'm not going after him. I'm just preparing some gold to put in his place when he leaves.
Of course, yeah.
As a small note, by the way, and I forgot to say this, of course, Philomene will have paid for the horn and whatever alcohol she took,
Mhm.
but she also have left behind her last fake granola, carefully wrapped up and with a note to Pierre
Okay.
as a gift.
Yeah.
But do let me know how much gold I need to take out for the hornets.
Mm-hmm. 4 gold is probably more than enough to pay for everything you grabbed.
Sounds good.
But yeah, Dove, you would also see the pile of gold left by Philomene, as well as the remaining bits of Fey granola and the note.
Those tinctures, those salves, there were some we didn't buy. Are they here?
They don't appear to be.
Hmm.
And if you check like below the counter where she had pulled some stuff out of, there are some very conspicuous absences on the shelves.
Okay. So she took a lot of the good shit.
Mhm.
Clever. Savvy. Any literature?
There are, in fact, some books. Most of them appear to be fiction, very simple, like adventure stories. Stories about individuals who, just went traveling around doing likely wonderful, amazing things. There's a book about a monk and some very strange friends they had that took a journey into the east this time, it seems.
Okay. Yep.
Winky face.
I got you.
I'll grab that.
It's a pretty good book. You're pretty sure you've heard this story retold a few times.
Let's see the stylistic
Does it-
differences. See if it's a more modern take or not.
There's one book called How to Poison an Emperor.
God, if only. But if there's no
My
other
thoughts exactly.
like alchemical books that she and I may have alluded to, I'll take the journey to the east.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that the alchemical components that you might have spoken with her about before do not appear to be present.
Take the book.
The version of Journey that you find is actually Seiyuki.
Start leafing through it. It'll do.
What the fuck is a Dragon Ball?
I mean, Journey to the West is a pretty good tale.
It is. It's a very good tale. There's a reason it's been retold a million times.
I love
Excellent.
Sanzo.
It also thanks to me. I must thank Overly Sarcastic Productions for this. One of the earliest, if not the earliest, thing of Mpreg.
Okay.
Skipping
think that-
ahead.
Also true.
think I could.
Also true.
Oh. Dove is
Yeah.
skipping ahead to that part.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a few very saucy stories in there about some shenanigans for sure.
Oh boy. I'll be in my bunk. I guess I'll head down to the south and go to whatever room we had taken before. We
If you
can't.
haven't watched Sayuki, it's a great take on that.
Yeah, I recommend it.
Heard of it. I haven't watched. Oh my. Oh. Hi, Wither. Close the book. Snap. How was your game? Lose your
Hit or
shirt
miss.
again.
I came out a little up, but not nearly as bad as when as last time.
Blessings if you weren't playing with Mech again.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That little fucker cheats.
He is pretty
Def-
shrewd. I will admit I should have listened to you.
That
You
little
catch a
fuck-
glance of one Ulin's taking inventory and then heading to the store.
That little fucker cheats, I swear.
He isn't the only one. I mean, what?
I tried to find some potions or something in the general store, but it looks like Pia pretty much cleaned out most things. This book, though, I recommend taking a look at this sometime. Gets a little
Oh,
saucy.
sounds like your speed.
Everyone, how do you feel? There is quite a task ahead of us.
Never better.
I could be. I have a couple things I need to do, but
Lie
I
detected.
think I'm ready. Of course.
Mm,
I'm not in the area.
yeah. Oh, never better. We spoke with Pani about some of the developments we had learned from the Wind Spirit. It may have adjusted our plans slightly. In fact, we should probably catch up briefly before turning in for the night.
Sounds like a decent idea.
Just to see if our map has been changed in any way.
I've got a little.
That is advisable.
Let's go then.
Let's go in, take a look. Funny. Have our
As you enter, there is a chorus of laughter. The four individuals here seem to be in possession of cups and are just sitting around having just a laugh. But as you approach, Pawnee will
Ah.
turn. Welcome back.
has there been any
Is there something?
discussion involving the more recent developments?
Go on. Yes.
Have the plans changed at all?
She shakes her head. For the time being, we are going to proceed moving forward with everything as we have already discussed
Well, all right.
and hope for the best.
Speaking of, what do you have here?
Oh, just some tea. We were sharing
Oh.
stories.
Well, I have a little something I might be inclined to share as well. Something of a hobby of mine. Well, at least I would actually call it maybe part of the backbone of my profession. And I'll pull out the mead. A little,
Oh,
for good luck.
by all means. We would love to share a drink with you.
And I will offer to whoever wants some.
Yeah, everyone will accept some if you are offering.
This one takes its fluids from moist ground, but it appreciates the gesture.
Certainly. This stays above ground.
I'd be happy to have one as well. I could use one more before I turn in and
And-
really get to work.
And with her cup. For luck. Those of us who need it.
Pawnee will peer at the cup that she has that has a little bit of the mead in it, smiling before she looks over the cup at Dove. Perhaps we should have some again tomorrow and put the staying above ground part of it to the test,
I like the way you think.
if you catch my meaning.
Most certainly.
Then we should save some of the good stuff. Just in case.
I'll do. A little taste. I'm quite fond of it already.
Something to look forward to for tomorrow.
It is something of a fey spirit. A mead, really. Let's hope that drives the winds of fortune in our favor.
This one has heard of slime species infatuated with bubbles. Perhaps it will look into that.
Cheers. And we'll
Indeed.
slowly sip it down. Sip, sip,
Cheers,
sip.
luck, and blessings to all of us. And hopefully, we could celebrate a little bit more tomorrow about this time. What say you all?
Surely.
And the old man will down his helping, and you'll see him, do that. When you've got some of that good fire water, that,
Yeah.
that face and that
Whew.
he does that.
Egg face.
It
Yeah,
burns
yeah.
good as it goes down.
Yeah,
It's meant to be sweet, but
but it's
still
got
stick
strong.
hard.
Yeah, there's two things that bring out the stank faces: good alcohol and good saxophone solos.
Wither will raise his glass to straight arrows, cricket backstabbing, and strong shields.
And they will all raise their glasses and drink.
Let's hope the
This
arrows
one.
are the only straight things.
This one has a feeling. The wind might blow in our favor.
Hey, Yozora,
Tighten my belt.
Speaking.
make me an Arcana check.
One Arcana check coming up.
You don't have the request button? I love the request button.
Yeah. I haven't set that up for 5e. I'm gonna fully admit I stopped really working on a lot of the more intricate automation for 5e
Yeah,
once I was like,
fair
I'm
enough.
going to,
Mhm.
to Pathfinder.
And the Arcana check of 22.
As you are out and about doing your practice and your training, there is something on the wind that catches your notice. And that's all I'll
Zero.
say about it for now.
Oh, so I don't get to find out what it is. Okay.
For the moment. Meanwhile, back in Bonnick, they share their drinks. Everyone toasts to good luck, good health, and good fortune in what is to come ahead. And that's where we'll call it.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Okay.
It's that very spicy chip. Ah, it's the meat.
I have expected that next part to be today, but yeah, no, that makes sense.
Hmm.
Next session.
Mhm. It's good setup. Good cliffhanger.
We got the roleplay out the way. Now we're gonna get to
Time for
the
tactics.
action.
Yep. Time
One
for a
thing-
nap. Maybe a quick fap,
Yeah.
and then some
Always.
bit bap.
I was hoping that the
Baps?
engineer would have stayed a little longer,
Little Baps.
but they had to go, I guess.
Hmm.
Yeah, we'll find out what Philome's been up to. We'll find out what that is on the wind next time.
Remind me next time. I do want to add those threads to my armor. On our
Absolutely,
long
yeah,
rest.
yeah. We'll be able to get that set up during
Okay.
the long rest for sure.
All right.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
yep.
Got
That's
here.
everything. If anything.
Okay, I'm thinking we're gonna go from one RPG to another. We're gonna go over to Shrum. Ah, he's in Nibelheim. He's playing Final Fantasy VII, the original. For the first, yeah. His is the first playthrough. So that should be something. He seems to be liking it so far, which is good because otherwise I'd have to just unfollow him. But let us start the raid to send you over to old Shrumland over here. There we are. We're gonna go raid Shrum. Let's give him a ride on the meat train. With a
And for
little
those who are watching
slapjazzing.
for those who are watching my stream, I'm sending you over to Atty Plays, who's doing Yakuza Kiwami 2.
If I had someone, I think I might have Kiwami. I know I have 0. At least something I should get around to playing. God, there's so many fucking backlogged games. My boyfriend got me Resident Evil 4 remake last year. I still haven't
Yeah.
fucking played it. I still haven't
You
beaten
got,
Baldur's Gate 3.
I got you a couple of VNs too.
Yeah. Oh god, you did. Yeah, some vampire things that definitely need to touch those with my throat. So, give Shrum a ride on the meat train with a slappy jugasm. If you don't have slappy jugasm, I can't believe you. But, any gasm you got. Maybe a buttgasm. I mean, inclusive. Because, hey, what's a little gasm between friends after all? So, we will see you next time. I guess that will be Saturday for Vampire. Huh. That'll be elsewhere, though. Bye.